What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review Don't Nod's Twin Mirror. Now, I do want to come out and say this in the very beginning of this video, that this code was provided to me by Don't Nod. That's not going to mean anything in terms of the actual review, but I do want to thank them for doing it and also let you guys know. This game, and I'm not joking at all. If you guys have watched my past videos, you guys have watched me even for years, and since I've covered every Don't Nod game that's come out, you'll know how conflicted I am on a lot of their games, okay, a lot of their games. So the theme of this review, and that I want to kind of make, it may or may not even be in the title, but it's that it's a great game buried deep within such a flawed one, okay? Now, maybe part of that would make it its way into the title, but not the full thing. But that's the theme. There is something actually really good about Twin Mirror. I actually would say, to maybe get out of the way first, I do like this game. The first hour or so, and this is probably going to be I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't think I'm going to spoil anything. The first hour or so is really bad. I would say that. I would go so far to say that. The characters take a lot of warming up to. I like Sam's voice actor. He sounds a lot like Troy Baker, and that's not to put him down as like he's not his own individual, but he sounds a lot like Troy Baker, but it's not Troy Baker. I like his voice, but my God, Don't Nod pick the most depressing, just a monotone kind of personality that they could have ever chosen for a lead, where it works, I would say, later on in the game, when you, again, start to, I think, understand these characters, there starts to become more depth to them, but early on, it's just pathetic. I would say your main character, the main character, is pretty bad. I would say he gets much better as the game goes on, and I would say the supporting cast is the same. Again, this is a game that's so rough around the edges, but it's actually a good game buried within. You know, I saw an article that said because this game, by the way, is getting like destroyed in reviews. I actually would say, and normally, you know, I'm a pretty, I would say, big critic, and especially when it comes to Don't Nod, I pick on them a lot. It's only because I really care. Life is Strange, the first season, is one of my favorite games of all time. I adore that game. I always will respect Don't Nod for that, but they have been so mediocre, I would say, since then. And, you know, I mean, I'm throwing those insults. They continue to support me by giving me these codes, and I greatly, again, I do appreciate it, because I really am only trying to find the best, or trying to push them to make the best things out there. I hated Life is Strange 2. Remember Me, which obviously came out before even Life is Strange. That game was like very okay. Vampire, whatever you want to say it, I thought was really awful. Tell Me Why was actually really solid. I didn't think it was something amazing, but I also didn't think it was bad. So I would say that was kind of my expectation for this game, for Twin Mirror, where it's like, do some things good, have an overall like solid game, and then there can be the mistakes within it. And that's exactly what, honestly, that is exactly what Twin Mirror is. The graphics are despicable. Now, I played it on, well, interestingly enough, I played it on PS5, but it was the PS4 version, so I was playing it backwards compatible. I watched, because I tried to see like some of the different endings and stuff. I watched it online, and it looked better on my phone online in like a YouTube walkthrough video than it did on my PS5. So I don't know what they were playing on, maybe PC, maybe they could up a lot of the specs on it, but for me, I'm not impressed at all. I think that's one of the main things Don't Nod really, they've taken some steps. I mean, you look at Life is Strange, even to like Life is Strange 2, they did so well with that jump. But Twin Mirror, just, there's a lot of loading problems. The game, actually, the loading screens in this game are laughable. They are roughly, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 seconds sometimes to get from one place to the other, which is pathetic. And then sometimes when it does that and it loads you into a place, it almost breaks the game. One time I got the beginning of the scene, I was inside the game's grass, and then it popped me out to like where I was supposed to be. So there's a lot of loading issues. There's no textures in this game. It's very bland, even the faces, and again, that hurts, I would say, and that's something they need to fix. They need to fix going forward, because the textures and the facial like animations, that hurts the characters. They do really weird, you know, Italians, I'm actually an Italian, we talk with our hands. I talk with my hands every single time I make a video with my right hand. I hold my microphone with my left hand, my right hand is constantly moving. But these guys are like, these guys are on another level, because they'll do some of the wackiest things in the world with their hands that you've never even seen before, and it won't match what they're saying. That's the biggest thing, is, again, like the voice acting, I would say for the majority of the characters, but especially the main characters, is actually really good, but there's nothing to help that. Their faces and what they're doing don't reflect at all what they're saying, okay? So, like, when you think about a game like The Last of Us, like, just how good that game is, say what you want about the story, but, like, when they're doing expressions and they're talking, you feel it in their faces because they show the emotion. Don't Nod, I would say they even showed that a little bit more in the Life is Strange games than they did Twin Mirror. So you could say that's like in a big aside, and then I'm kind of putting too much into that. But those are big deals. The game's like 4.5 hours, and again, I would say one of the biggest downfalls of this game is that kind of the expression of its characters. But let me say a couple other things. I think the core story here is actually really, really good. I would actually go so far as to say that. I really do like it. I feel like the game doesn't know what it wants to do, though. So there's a place called the Mind Palace, and that's what you see in the gameplay when he jumps into his mind, okay? And everything's like colorful and everything's kind of like glass. I feel like they wanted the game to only be that because those scenes are by a mile the better scenes. Now, you don't necessarily get the character like understanding or the relationships in that place. You get it in the real world. So there are, you don't get everything in it, but what you're doing and what you're experiencing and the different just actions that you do, because you're in there not that many times, to be honest with you, because again, it's like they wanted to put you in there, but they're like, well, we don't really have a reason for you to go there, so we need to create a main game in order to put you there, and we'll put you there 3, 4, 5 times. You'll do something different each time, and it'll kind of be cool. And that's another thing. This game takes, I would say, a lot of inspiration from Life is Strange. In fact, he even says Life is Strange in a part of this game. I won't say where, I won't say when, but it's actually, I think it's kind of funny. But there are several sequences in this game, including like a maze in his head, where I think it's just ripped straight out of Life is Strange Episode 5 when Max is also basically in her head confronting her demons. It's almost the exact same thing, which I'm not saying is a bad thing because, again, I love Life is Strange. I just feel like the game doesn't know, again, what it wanted to be. The story it tells, while good, jumps around, and the ending, you wouldn't know really unless obviously you're playing it, right? But like the ending doesn't feel like it's connected to the beginning. Does that make sense? Now, I'm no story writer. I'm no writer in general, right? But like there's got to be like a thread that goes through, and there is. It just doesn't feel like flow. It doesn't feel like it flows at all. You know what I mean? There's too many jumps, and at the same time, it seems way too easy. The character gets beaten down a lot in different ways, including like in his mind. But in terms of like the actions of the game, everything actually comes very, very easy. The entire game, I would say, is you go to like 4 different places. You're trying to solve a crime. Now, you're trying to solve a mystery. I won't say anything more than that. But pretty much how you do that is you go to 3, 4, 5 places directly, back to back to back to back. There is no going to the wrong place and like realizing you went to the wrong place and you have to figure it out. There's, There's nothing. It all takes place, I think, in one day. It all takes place in one day, and you're just constantly, it's not awful, but I just feel like there's more to be desired, where it's like, okay, so you get this, and then, this literally is a clue that tells you go to this place. Well, let me go to that place. Okay, this is a clue. In fact, again, it tells you point blank, go to this place. We'll go to that place. And it does that for the 4 hours of the game. And I just feel like that's not awful, but it's just not really like engaging in any way. There's really no like anything against him. Again, I guess there's his mind, and there's a couple other things that go on in the game that is against the primary character. But for the most part, the central mystery of the game gets solved relatively easy. There's not much to it. So it's tough. I am not kidding you when I say this. It's a tough game to talk about because I actually do like it. I don't agree with the sites that are saying this is a rare miss by them. I think for the most part, and again, this is not I want to go and attack that. Don't not again. I want the best from them. This is kind of common. This is kind of what I expected. Life is Strange 2, I hated the central premise of that game. I hated the characters. I hated that. But what they did with, expanding Life is Strange's story and the graphical leap they took and a couple other things, I actually like. So I would say that game was kind of half and half. Now, it was the opposite. I hated the main portion of the game. Tell Me Why is kind of like this game. I liked the characters. I guess I don't necessarily like all the characters in this game. And again, I think they're weaker overall than Tell Me Why. Tell Me Why's characters actually were really, really good. So Tell Me Why, the characters were good. The story was pretty solid. The mystery of what was going on with the mom was actually much better than I anticipated. But again, rough around the edges, some things that don't make sense. Twin Mirror, same thing. Solid enough characters, good voice acting. I like where the story was taking me. I love the Mind Palace scenes. They were really good. But I would truly say everything else. Some of the supporting characters' dialogue, awful. The graphics were I don't know. They were bad. They were really bad. Nobody had any emotion to them. Their lips were about as bad as Life is Strange, where like the lips just were not matching the actual words coming out. So there was a lot of things that take you out of the game. There's loading, there's clipping, there's frame rate issues, all that kind of stuff. There's some situations where you know the whole age-old thing with choice-based games where they've gotten better at when they give you the option, you kind of know how they're going to say it or what they're going to say. It's an art because sometimes they don't, you know what I mean? And they've gotten better. The gaming industry has gotten better. Twin Mirror has taken it a step backwards. There were some choices I picked, and I was like, okay, I'm expecting this to happen, and it didn't happen. Or the game didn't. I won't spoil it, but and this is the last thing I'll say. There's a major choice at the end of this game, towards the end, maybe like the last 40 minutes. And the game did a horrible job of telling me what the choice I was making was actually going to do, okay? It's a huge choice. It literally affects the last part of the game, the ending of the game, massively. It is the choice that changes it. And in that scene where you make the choice, the game doesn't even make it clear what exactly, like, you know what you're picking, but you don't know what that's going to do at all. It was very unclear. And then again, there were some times where, like, you answer something and I expect it to go one way and it didn't go that way. And those are small things, but they're pretty big annoyances, I would say, for a game like this. So this is tough. The game is $28.99. That's the price. I don't know why it's that price, but it's $29. I would truly say if you like their games, get it. I would even say if you like choice-based games in general or mysteries, get it. I kind of enjoyed it. I would say I enjoyed it more than I didn't. I would just say this game is different than Tell Me Why, because Tell Me Why I overall enjoyed pretty much everything. I would say it was a solid game. This game, what it did good, it did pretty darn good, but it did a lot of things absolutely awful. And it, you know what I mean? It was kind of that middle ground where it's like, I just want a polished product, where this game could have actually been really, really good, but it wasn't. So I would say, $29, it was 4.5 hours. There are lots of different ways of going at the story, so you could play it twice. I would say it's worth that price. If you have nothing else to play, I get Cyberpunk is coming out. It's a tough one. It's really a tough one, but that's what I would say with Twin Mirror. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Have you noticed this game? Are you going to get this game? Do you already have it? Let me know your thoughts. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed here. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And again, if you guys like Don't Nod, you like the games they've made, I've covered pretty much all of them. I'm a huge Life is Strange guy. I covered both Life is Strange 1 and 2 when they came out on this channel. So when Life is Strange 3 eventually does come out, I will be there to rip it to shreds if it needs to, and praise it, to all glory if that happens, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.